This is humiliating. Hello and welcome to another Alcohol and Anime Night. Again, the show that makes you drunker, fatter, and in this quick case, maybe even makes you question the relationship you have between your pets. Today we're going to dive straight into a show that is not brand new. It's been a few years out, from 2018, called Killing Bites. And we're also going to briefly talk about one of the snacks today. A pretty common one, pretty easy one to get, the Jacklinks teriyaki jerky, which is one of the staples here. I'm going to dump it right in there so it doesn't tip over again. So, on to the anime review itself. So, Killing Bites is an anime that came out, again, right around 2018. Obviously, it was a manga before then. I believe it's still ongoing, actually. I have to double check. I'm almost positive it's still ongoing. And very fun, very definitely fits into the niche of what we cover here in the evenings here. The premise of the show is essentially were creatures, genetically engineered were creatures that battle to the ends that are because of corporations who have decided how this is how they're going to decide who's in control of the economy and who's in. It's kind of a bizarre plot, very fun though. It's definitely sold to you as this is kind of a sexy ecchi type thing. But really, when it all comes down to it, really what it's about is it's an action show. Lots of action, tons of action, which in my opinion always translates better to an anime than the actual manga does. That's the one place where the manga has a difficult time really capturing what's happening in comparison to the anime. It's one place where if you're going to choose to have a show, if you're going to choose to watch either the animated version of it or on the pages of the book, the animated version's always going to, in most cases, it's going to show that action better. You're going to be able to feel it more. Even the best illustrations are still never going to be able to capture it that way. So in this way, it really shines. So just to kind of back up a little bit, so what are we talking about with these characters? So the initial character, and it gets like better as you explain it, and that's why I really wanted to feature this one, and I wanted to wait a little bit to see if some other things had come out, but I guess I'm going to have to, I'll cover that later in the review. So essentially what it is, this whole thing centers around a character, his name's Nomoto Yuya, and he's just the typical 20-year-old dude kind of in college, kind of a nobody. And you'll find that's a bit of a recurring theme with some of these anime, and the reason is it's relatable. I hate to say it, it's very relatable. I mean, most people don't feel, maybe that says something about society in general, but most people don't feel like they stand out, and so this is a great opportunity. This person's just kind of a nobody, and through some circumstances that he puts himself into that maybe he shouldn't have done, he essentially, and this is all in episode 1, so yes, there's some spoilers here, but it's all in episode 1. You might even be able, the opening credits might even give away most of this stuff, so I don't know how surprised you want to be, but he is, I won't ruin the whole first episode, but he is essentially introduced to this character, this young girl, right around his same age, probably, and her name is Uzaka Hitomi. And Uzaka Hitomi is she's what they call a theranthrope. And a theranthrope is, unlike a lycanthrope, you guys might know is like a werewolf or, some type of creature like that. Theranthrope is a were creature that's really any animal, but more importantly, it's been created genetically. And that's the world that we live in, is that there's been these kind of secret experimentations, which are not all unlike the experimentations that happen in real world. So it's kind of a weird parallel that maybe they're speaking to. But there's all different kinds of creatures that they experiment on with, essentially making these hybrids of humans and beasts, and they can look just like regular humans, but then they can take the form of these beasts and kind of different forms. So like they can choose if they want to just have an ears and tail, and maybe some claws, or they can just fully transform into like a full werewolf kind of thing. But again, the creatures are not necessarily werewolves. They're things like snakes. They're things like bunnies. They're things like geckos. And as you go through this, you're like, how is a gecko tough? And then you find out, oh, okay, that's the neat thing. And there's a great little plot device that they build throughout the entire thing, is that whenever a new character is introduced, so somebody new that has some kind of animal ability, which there's always somebody new, they always take a moment to pause and almost have like a nature section where they like explain like, well, this is what this kind of animal is, and this is its abilities, and this is what makes it tough or unique. And so there's almost a fun education part of it, which so far I found to be all true. Like I went back and I was like, that can't be right. And I looked and it was true. I didn't know some of these facts. So that being said, our hero character, this Hitomi, she is a were creature, but she is a were honey badger. And so it's the best because honey badger doesn't give a shit. And that is the premise of this show, is that she embodies this honey badger that she is, and the things that she goes through, she doesn't back down, and like all like the key elements of that animal she represents in real life, and it totally works, and so I really like this show. It was a lot of fun. Again, it was kind of sold as like, ooh, it's going to be like sexy kind of anime, which is always a good way to get my attention. But honestly, I stayed for the comedy, I stayed for the action, and the rest of it was like, there was a little bit of that kind of stuff, but really not. I mean, that's not what the point of it is. Certainly nowhere near the level of Redo of Healer, and certainly not like that. I mean, that show bordered. Honestly, that show blurred the lines between hentai and regular animation. I'm still not sure about it. Somebody asked me in the comments to go back and watch. Like, you got to watch it until episode 6. That's when it really hits. Episode 6 is worse. So thank you to whoever that was in the comments to make me watch one more episode of the show I didn't enjoy that much. But anyway, it's part of the dangers of the job, I guess. So anyway, so in case you were wondering, Theranthrope literally means like beast man. That's kind of the root words of what it is. But this show essentially is like, what if Snapchat or Instagram filters where people have like cat ears and dog faces, what if that was suddenly real? And we are faced with the very real reality of what that would be like. And I had to laugh the entire time. I was like, this show's like a Snapchat filter. I don't think people even use Snapchat anymore. So again, why do these characters do this? Well, there's like 4 major business conglomerates in Japan that they call them zaibatsu, which is, these different business conglomerates. Not unlike, again, we have the same kind of thing in the United States. And they use these creatures they've created as kind of like a way to test, like, how good is your conglomerate? Were they able to get to the maximum level of research? And this is what they use to kind of establish dominance within this hierarchy. And so every year they have this giant tournament that's kind of like a battle royale type thing, and these characters are what they use as pawns for this, and it becomes a big deal. Like it's massive. It's affects the entire state of the economy and things like that. So a lot of fun. Maybe this show, if you're a person that's into like the furry world, this is maybe your dream. This is like the best show ever. It's a fun time. There's 12 episodes. And here we are in 2021. I don't see any. I don't see season 2 out yet, but I did see a fairly complete trailer to season 2 that definitely wasn't reused animation. It was definitely new stuff, and absolutely appeared to get to what the second season really has some cool stuff in the manga version. Get through the first, and then the second season you're really going to like the cool things that happen, but you gotta establish that plot first. So I really hope that they don't pull the plug on it. And the reason I say that is 2 reasons. Number 1, there was supposed to be a Killing Bites video game, like a fighting game that was supposed to come out for, I think, the PS4 and the Vita. And when I heard about that, I was like, how have I not heard about this? So I ran out, got on the internet, looked at it, couldn't find it. Did a little research and found out that even though they did a trailer for the game, even though they did a pre-announcement, they had to cancel the game. And so it never got out. They even, you can go on YouTube and you can find the actual trailer for the game, and it looks pretty cool. But it never came out. And so that's really disappointing. So I hope that the season 2, they don't pull the plug on that somehow, because it happens. For those of you who may be new to this happens all the time. There'll be a show, an anime series, that they work so hard to get season 1 in production. And then once they do, sometimes it never sees a season 2. And they'll sometimes leave you on a cliffhanger, like, well, what's next? Well, I want to see what's going on. Probably the worst, people in regular television world, that Firefly would be the one, where people are like, why did that get canceled? Ah! The one in the anime world, there's several of them, but the one that, in my opinion, is one of the most famous is High School of the Dead. That was universally, really everybody enjoyed it. It hit at the peak of zombie craze. It was fun. It was sexy. It had action, great color, cool weapons and stuff like that. It was just in, and never saw a second season. And I believe the creator, whose name escapes me at this moment, he got sick, I believe, with a heart condition, and was never able to finish it. And so it's like the curse of the second season. So if you ever find a show that makes it to the second season, count yourself lucky. It doesn't happen all the time. And I hope this isn't one of those shows that gets cursed like that. A couple other things that are great about it. The opening theme is really exciting. I know I don't usually touch on that, and I've tried to actually show the opening themes here a couple of times on YouTube, and YouTube's not having it. They're, how dare you try to promote something that somebody else's and introduce other people to new stuff. How dare you? We don't want you to do any of that. So YouTube's very much against introducing people to new content. Even a few bars of the song or whatever, but nonetheless, you can go out there and search it. It's a cool song, and there's a lot of opening themes from anime that are really neat, but this one just really kind of gets you into it. It's got that rocking beat, and I really like it. A couple other things that you might like about it is the fact that the individual characters definitely play a greater role initially than the kind of main character guy. And anyway, I think you're going to like it. I don't want to drone on about it. Some things I didn't like about it that much. Again, there's a little bit of a bait and switch with the animation. Now, the manga doesn't bait and switch you so much. You get what you see is what you get. So you get a little bit more if you're kind of looking for the sexy type thing. Then you're going to get that more with the manga. They definitely turn that down a lot with the anime, which I'm going to be honest with you, does not. In fact, I think it makes it more accessible to more people. So that's because it just, some people, they're just not going to be in about that, and especially with the way the creatures are, that are they're kind of different, cheetah creatures and honey badgers and stuff like that. You're definitely going to be having some questions about yourself in certain times. So Anyway, check it out. You're going to like it. Let me know about it. Again, tons of action. Think of this as like a My Hero Academia that's for grown-ups. So it's definitely got a lot of those like cool face-off scenes where we're trying to figure out whose powers would beat other powers and like what combination of that would make them win or lose. And there's a lot of that kind of thing. But done in a little bit more adult way. And I just want a full warning, the fights are super brutal. I mean, we're talking about people getting, limbs chopped off and bitten and eyes gouged out and stuff like that. So if you're squeamish on that kind of stuff, it's pretty brutal when it comes to the fight scenes. But that's the way animals fight, and that's a very interesting way is that they don't hold back. They're just full throttle. So. All right, well, we're going to end the episode tonight with one of the snacks that I feature here. I do a lot of beef jerky. There's something like beer and beef jerky and snacks like candy and whatnot. They always go together well. Over the years, I've found the perfect combination. I love the Jacklinks teriyaki. This is a staple. When I can't find something special, I always have a stock of this. When you're going through, it's cheap. Cheap by jerky standards. Weirdly enough, if you price out jerky is more expensive per ounce than filet mignon. It's per ounce. It's more expensive, which is crazy that that this is considered cheap food. But this is good stuff. It's right in the middle, very flavorful. I actually prefer the Jacklinks tender. They're called like tender bits or something like that. They're served in a bag and they're cut and they're a little juicier. But this is still pretty juicy. It's not dry, and I like this a lot. I don't like this one so much for traveling. Weirdly enough, this is definitely like hanging out and kind of eating snacks, and it's I don't know if you can see, but it's almost like done in strips like bacon, and so you get a lot for your money. I don't know. I like this one, and it's available everywhere, which is definitely helpful for me because too much of the stuff I like is bizarre and hard to get. So. Anyway, well, it's been great having you guys again. The show this week is a lot of fun doing the research again for it, so please check it out. Again, my name was Scott. Kampai.